Hi guys, it's Blackie. Now in the Simple Cooking series, we're going to do an old staple favorite of mine for the winter camps, and that's beef soup. But now how we do it, that's the beauty of it, is this is something that kids can help cook. You don't have to put a lot of time in it or anything like that, because we're going to use components that are already prepared like we talked about, been blanched or etc. But we're going to take them to the next level and give them about 30 minutes of chance to. This was always a favorite of mine in the winter at those cold camps. It's very warm, it's very filling. The peppers in it warm you up a little bit. The potatoes give you long-term heat. The meat in it, you can augment the meat. And that's something that if you buy the better beef stew and use it for the base to begin with, you get more chunks of meat. If you go more for the soup, any of them will work. But you can beef it up. Do I want bigger hunks of meat? How about I got hunks of wild game like deer heart or something like that? I can cube up right quick and brown it up and then dump all of these components you're about to see into one pot and bring that up. That's a quick cooked stew. Stew is thick, soup is more liquidy. And I prefer soups on cold nights because I'm intaking more liquid, and that's going to raise my core temperature up. Plus I'm getting potatoes and lots of other carrots and other vegetables, and that's going to keep my system running late into the night. So, without further ado, here's how we're going to do it. Okay, we begin with 3 sticks, roughly the same height, roughly. And if you got a choice between big end and little end, I always like to put the little end at the bottom on 2 of them. One of them can be a big end. I'm going to come up here and come back like 1 hand's width down from the top. Canadian jam knot. There's my key knot. There's my lock knot. And there's my other one. Come up here, go around my finger. Stick back through my finger. Through that hole I just made. Just like that. Now I want to come up here, holding it close. About 1 hand from the top. Go around twice. Come through that loop. Just like that, and saw back and forth until I pull it blood tight. Now spread the sticks apart and instant tripod. That's all I got to do to make a tripod. No lashing or nothing, just a quick tripod. Okay, for these ingredients we're going to have water, we're going to have a bush pot, we've got a dingle stick already set up with a quick adjustable toggle, something to stir and eat with, 1 can of beef stew, 1 can of diced tomatoes with chilies, and 1 can of mixed vegetables. And we'll need a little bit of instant mashed potatoes at the end, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now, let's get started. Now, flames like that are only good for boiling, but I am going to be putting a pot on that's going to have water in it initially, so this is not that big a deal. So we're going to set up in just a moment. Right now I'm getting the sticks going. I've got a pile of light wood on there, just little small sticks, and then I've got a tinder bed that's starting to build up of other like leaves and stuff, you know, tinder, quick grab, until I can make the transition from being that to being wood burning fuel. So just keep adding little sticks, let it keep going. Don't be in a big hurry. Okay, while I'm waiting on that, let me get my pot ready. I'm going to start filling up my pot. And I'm going to add in the vegetables. Now this vegetables, I am going to include the liquid. I am not going to include the liquid with the other, except for the, you'll see. This is vegetable stock, so it doesn't hurt anything to be in there. It doesn't dilute it out badly, and it won't change the flavor horribly. This is just a simple camp stew where you're combining pre-made up ingredients to get a desired effect. Okay, 1 can mixed vegetables, 1 can of chilies, you're going to fall in that fire, ain't you? I can tell. Alright, word is wise. Always make sure your preparation area is fairly level. See, I did not do that, and see what's happening. Now I'm opening this, everything on the counter is starting to walk. That ain't a good thing. One can of chilies and tomatoes. And finally, 1 can of beef stew. Now beef stew is thick. It's stew, so you're going to be able to eat it with a fork. But we're going to dilute it out initially, more like a soup, and combine the rest of this with it because it tastes better and it's more food, and it allows me to take a relatively smaller, relatively expensive item like canned beef stew and incorporate it in with other stuff that's cheaper. Now, always looks a lot like Alpo, don't it? Stir that together. You see, it's already pretty liquidy already from those vegetable stock, and that's fine. I need that grease and stuff of the pot. Right, just enough. I want about a 1/4 inch of water over the top of everything before I put it on the fire. Alrighty. That's all the fat of the beef stew. Now, put it on the fire. And you see how tall that flame is? I want to knock that down just a little bit. It's a little too tall. I'm going to take my stick, just like that. Keep it going, drop it down just a little bit. Alright, now. With my dingle stick that I made up a long time ago, it's got a series of loops tied in bank line. It allows me to adjust my height. Super simple. See these loops? And I did a video a long time ago. Let me see if I can figure out where that is. But pick the pot. Put the tripod over it. Just like this. Nice spread wide. Hook it. And then you use whichever loop lines up with the altitude that you want with the feed. I think it's going to be that one right there. Just the tripod, put it in the middle of the heat, and we're cooking. As you can see, that burnt down really quick, and that's fine. I can keep adding to it. So over here on this side, I will throw some more. And I do think I need to come up just a little, like that. Now I'll just keep adding sticks and keep my little fire going like that. That's set up for a simmer. There's a lot of heat coming off of them coals and very little flame. That's what I want. I want to just keep pitching a small stick every so often to keep it going. pot to turn every so often like that, so it kind of winds up one way and then unwinds the other. Keeps hot spots off the bottom. Notice I'm keeping just a little light flame, mostly white coal, but I have a little flame here, a little flame there. Let it fade down a little bit and I'll readjust. Spread it out a little bit, keep that heat going up. It's been on here about 10 minutes. Now it's time to give a little stir. Oh yeah. Doing just fine. Now, wind it up again. Now let's see how long it takes time I let go to the time it finally gets done moving all by itself. And go. I've seen this done with a hunk of meat on a chain before. Spun like this when someone's sitting there watching it, they'd spin it, have two big hot log fires separated apart, so it's kind of hanging between the two heat sources. Spin it back and forth. It might spin a minute or two. Still turning on its own. Okay, we'll call it there. How long was that? Okay, now I'm done with a high heat. I'm just going to let it go because it's already probably about 90% there. It's been on the fire now for about 18, 19 minutes. So now about every about every 5 minutes, I'm going to give it a little stir. I'm going to give it another quick twist just to keep it moving. Keep my fire concentrated underneath it on my heat right there. Take another little small twig, snap it up, throw it in the coals, get a little bit more flame going. I always want to keep a little lick of flame somewhere around in there. As long as I'm seeing glowing coals, I know that I've got enough heat. Okay, see what we got. Got good steam rolling in it. Oh yeah. Do a little taste test. It's at a nice soft rolling boil. That's good. Good old beef stew turns into beef soup. Okay, so simple ingredients, simple cooking. We started with about a 2-quart bush pot. We took a small can of diced tomatoes with chilies. We took a normal sized can of mixed vegetables. We took a normal sized can of cheap beef stew. We combined all three of those into one pot. By doing that, we're upping the ante. We're changing the flavor. Now this is a beef soup. It tastes good. It has a good taste. It doesn't taste like beef stew. It actually tastes like beef stew. Beef soup, excuse me. And you know who's going to show up now because it's dinner time, ain't it? You want to come get some? Is that it? But this is a 30-minute meal. Something I can cook quick and easy. It's hard to screw up because it's mostly liquid. Now by using the canned, ready-to-go stuff, like we talked about in the last video, me cooking it longer, I changed the flavor. I've allowed these elements to now chemistry bind together and form up a better taste, a more homemade type taste. Now, what if, this is soup, it's not watery. Let me get you in up close. See, it's still fairly thick. But if I wanted to make it even thicker, I could take like 2 or so tablespoons of instant mashed potatoes and stir them in right at the end. And let them thicken it up. You may like that better. But for me, this is simple, quick and easy, and different than just opening a can of beef stew. It actually tastes homemade. It tastes like you did something. and it greatly improves the meal. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave any questions or comments below, and thank you very much for supporting my channel. Till next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.